Okay, got it.
She still wins the good.
Well, yeah, but better than the previous utility, right? Her utility prices.
I'm sorry, say it again. If she still wins the good and she gets the same utility as if she bids the same thing.
Same utility.
Same utility. Did not improve.
Yeah.
Now there's the other possible case that she's going to decide to bid a little bit lower. If she decides to bid something like 290, what is going to happen? Same thing. She still wins the good, and she gets the same utility and pays the same thing as she was paying before. But there's also, let's say she really wants to undercut her bid, and she goes there and says, I'm going to bid now 220. What happens to her utility? There's no choice. It's 0, because she doesn't win the good anymore. So in the first case, when her valuation is bigger or equal to the maximum bid of everyone else, it's never better, and sometimes it's worse, to lie. Okay, but we're not done yet, because we only saw one possible case. Let's look now at the other possible case. Yes. First one is, I'm seeing all the possible, first is if you tell the truth, the utility that you get. If you tell the truth, no, if you say that your bid is your own valuation. The second one is the utility that you get if you say that your bid is high, if you bid higher than your valuation. The third one is if you bid lower than your valuation, but still bigger than the maximum. And the last one is if you bid something lower than the valuation, but it's smaller than the bid maximum of everyone else. Okay. Now let's look method. Would you share with us the value that you have there for the energy mix?
Yeah, $2.
$2, right? And what is the maximum bid of everyone else but Matthew? Would be $3. Because everyone else includes the bid of Hadia would be $3. Okay, so let's see what utility Matthew gets if he bids his own valuation. What utility is he getting in this auction? 0. He's not winning the good. If he bids something even, oh, because now B bar is the bid of everyone else but 2. And now we're including the bid of Hadia, which would be $3. Okay? Okay, so if it bids lower, what is his utility? If he decides to cut his price and say that he bids even lower than he actually wants the good, 0. He's still not going to win the good. If he decides to bid higher, but not as high, not bigger than 3. If BI is smaller than BI, then it's still smaller than B bar. Still 0. But there is the possibility that if he bids high, let's say he really wants to win the good, and he bids 320. What is his utility? VI minus B bar, but there is one problem here, which is okay. But let's think about it. I think you're in the right track here. But let's think about the utility first. The utility is still he wins the good and he pays B bar. But what happened to this number here? It's a negative number. By assumption, it's a negative number. So again, to lie, you're never better, and sometimes worse. So we have shown that no matter what the other one is doing, to beat your own valuation is the best thing that you can do in the second price auction. You cannot improve from that.
Shouldn't the first, if the first case be similar to because you're bidding higher than your valuation?
Which one?
First F of the first case.
Here? No, but if you bid higher than your own valuation,
And it's BI minus BI.
so it's BVI minus B bar.
Which you paid your cost was
Sorry, say again?
I never.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So to beat your own valuation is the other bidding strategy in the second price auction. Okay. we still have one thing to do that I have done in the first price auction, which is we haven't calculated expected revenue of the seller. Which one do you guys think is better? The first price auction or the second price auction for the auctioneer? What? Sasha,
I'm sorry?
did you say something?
I was gonna say something, but it's the first price.
Why would the first price be better?
Because they get the highest bid, this one gets the second highest.
Yeah, that's true. But for the other hand, people bid higher here than they bid in the first one.
But we don't.
Because here is exactly equal to your valuation. And here it's smaller than your valuation.
Then we don't know.
Your arguments for us in both directions. Good.
I think it would be the second one, because if I really wanted the trailheads to like run the race after the I would just give, like $1,000 just to make sure I get it, but then someone else could say the same thing, and then you pay 900.
Well, but remember here, first of all, would you bid $1,000 in
It's
the?
not like I would pay it though, because of the second race.
No, but if you pay $1,000, you have to pay. You have to pay $3, right?
Yeah, so I'll pay $3.
But your valuation.
But evaluation was
Your
50
utility-
cents, right?
Then your utility would be negative.
You kind of lost money here in this deal. But there's one thing here that we are kind of assuming all the time, we're going to talk here, is that everyone is able to compute these probabilities here and understand that, not actually to compute these probabilities, but everyone is able to understand the underlying principles of the auction, the rules of the auction. We're going to talk about this a little bit in the end of this class. But so far I have two forces there. One force that says the first price auction is going to be higher because it's the highest bid, and the second one who says the second price auction is going to be higher because people bid higher in the second price auction. Not much higher, not 1,000, but they still bid their own valuation, which is bigger than 1920s of their own valuation. Let's calculate the expected revenue of the second price auction here now. Of this one specifically. So to calculate the expected revenue of the auctioneer, what expected revenue is simply what is the expected second highest bid. It's very loosely written in there. But we know that bids are going to be equal to valuation here in this case. People are going to bid exactly what they value because that's a dominant strategy to do. Okay, now is the first time in the problem that the distribution uniform is going to appear, right? Can anyone tell me, using the information I have there in the setting, what is the expected second highest bid? The expected second highest valuation. You guys have the formula that I gave in the previous class there. going to be what? Same number. Yes. What is the k now is equal to 2, right? What is the range? B minus A here in this case is B minus A is 10 because A is 0 and B is 10. No, wait, we're not done yet. And now what is the formula for the second highest guy there? 19 divided by 21, because k is equal to 2. Which is again approximate 9, and is indeed exactly the same as we found in the first price of option. We have these two forces and they kind of balance each other. I'm going to give you guys like 5 minutes break, and then we're going to talk in which sense this is actually a general result or is this a combination of what we're doing. Okay? 5 minutes on the clock.
Which is the highest number? Given that it is the highest, you got the most high. Okay. In this format of code, you never do that. But you never had it.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's not exactly the same as submitting your paper.
Okay, so you're assuming there was the same.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
yeah, you're assuming it's submitting the paper.
But in this format, you don't do it.
Yeah, I don't do that. It's isomorphic.
The double extension is just to make sure you
Yeah, the only structure is like I'll keep my hand high until you reach my point, and reach my point and lower down. A0 is 10 and x is 10. Okay, we got here, right? We agree with this. The R is a function, it's like f of the r. I don't know what this guy here is. You know, this imagine this is f of the r, some function. Yeah. It's like the product rule. No, I'm doing the product rule.
Oh, okay.
Open them up here, the brackets, and you're going to see what happens.
Oh, okay. So
So you can have
cancel.
I accept anything that is strictly if I get, I'm going to accept anything bigger than 0, so I'm going to accept, so they're going to offer me 0, right? Something arbitrary close to 0. It can be anything really small and then accept.
So students describe it as the best work.
No, because I'm going to offer something. First of all, there's a timeline here. So I'm going to offer something that's going to make her accept. Because I know that she will not be very low, but she values the future less. So I take this whole thing into account when I propose something really nice. Yes, depends on what you yeah, of the auction period. Yeah, that's the auction period. I'm gonna post it later today. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Are you closest today?
They are just one big note, because they're pretty much the same topic. I'm gonna post it later, okay?
I was still going to call it how many fluids. Just enough water.
The new material is personal.
Price function is the winner is the highest bidder. And the second price function, the winner paid the second highest bidder. And the formula was just this is the first highest bidder. Well, how I get
It's a property of the new construction.
Most people
It's just sometimes it's just quite often something mistakes on the side, other mistakes on the side, and everything. It's just so confusing. Don't worry about it. I'm not sure if I have any material questions, but it's just with the both homeworks and both it's not going to be very different. It's your own person. Okay? Here is the house.
oh yeah.
price auction, second price auction, there are different auction designs. And when you have an auction design, and you decide that you're going to have people increasing clock, penny auction, all pay auction, you're going to create a rule basically that assigns bids to payments and allocation of the good. In the first price auction, the rule is the good is allocated to the person with the highest bid, and the payment rule is the person with the highest payment, with the highest bid, pays his bid. It's just a rule to assign payments and allocations as a function of the bids. But then we are in the world where the bidders are rational. So, and they are able to compute those probabilities. And they're going to come up with the optimal strategy to bid as a function of their valuation. They will be able to solve this. So we know in the end, so if they will be able to solve this, the auction design is going to create a link between their own valuations and payments and allocation of the final good. This is an allocation rule then. We call this an allocation rule. Yes.
What do you mean by allocation?
To whom to give the good. So we're going to say that an auction is efficient. Is the same concept as Pareto efficient as we had before. And the auction is going to be efficient if it doesn't matter its design, but if after they have the rules of the auction there, the design of the auction, and people compute the optimum bid, the auction ends up giving the good to the person who values it the most. It could be a first price auction here, it could be a second price auction, but the important thing is that in the end, Hadia gets the mix. If this happens, this auction is efficient. It could have different scheme of payments. It could be everyone pays a bid that is submitted, like in silent bid, some examples. But in the end, if the person who likes the most gets the good, the auction is efficient. Because if this wasn't the case, if instead of Hadia getting the good ended up going to Ryan, she could, I don't know how much did you value the mix? 50 cents. In the end, he gets the mix, and Hadia still has money in her pocket. She could go to him and say, hey, Ryan, I'm going to offer you $1. Would you give this to me instead? And he would say yes. So that final allocation wouldn't be efficient. Because if she gave him $1, she would be better off, and he would be better off too. So an auction is efficient if it gives the good to the person who values it the most. If the allocation rule is such that it gives the good to the person who values it the most. So maybe you're thinking, this, I don't understand how this has any bite, how this changes anything. It seems to me that all possible auctions are going to end up giving the good, to the person who values it the most. But that's not the case. There are other possible allocation rules. Instead of giving to the person who values it the most, you could give it to the person who needs it the most. I say it doesn't matter that she's the one who values the mix more than everyone else. Maybe I should give it to the person who needs more calories right now, because this is how we allocate goods in the society. Yes.
If I need it more, then I value it more.
Not necessarily. Maybe I have less money. You're kind of right in the sense that that kind of specifically to the function that we gave here, it's going to end up being the same thing. You're into something there. But if you differentiate to the function, that is the case. Other possible allocation rule would be like Solomonic allocation rule. Everyone wants I have to split this in the middle equally for everyone here. I could have other possible allocation rule that say, I'm going to sell you this for the person who bids the most, provided that is above $2. So maybe I value this 0. I don't care about this, has been in my desk for a year. And I would be willing to sell for you guys for 10 cents if that was the case. But if someone, so I'm going to give to you provided that you value above $2. I could do this if I decided not to sell between 0 and $2. And that would be a different allocation rule. Give it to who needs it the most. It's the main motto of Marxist economists, right? It's from their abilities to their needs. It ended up being most simplified economies, people split everything equally, but supposedly it should be for people who need the most. So it ends up in very different societies, different kind of mentalities. There are all possible allocation rules in the end. Okay, and now you guys are asking, so but why are you putting this in the board? What does it has anything to do with what we've been saying? We're talking about the revenues of the first price auction and the second price auction. What does it have to do with allocation rule and all this discussion that we had after the break? this is a little bit what it has to do. We have this very interesting benchmark theorem here who says all the auctions, they have the same allocation rule, have the same expected revenue for the auctioneer. One particular case of this theorem here is that all efficient auctions, because all efficient auctions have the same allocation rule, give the good to the person who values the most, have the same expected revenue. Yes, Kate.
Right. If you have one that has 10 people in it, another that has...
No, with the same number of people. Okay, just changing the design. Yeah, and the same distribution of values. Okay, I'm just changing between auction designs. If I'm selling a Coke Zero, if I'm selling a pot of gold, I'll have different expected revenues. But if you have 20 people buying the Coke Zero, or 20 people buying Coke Zero in different auction designs, in the same distribution, they have same expected revenue. Right.
That was the distribution.
Distribution is the same, okay? Think about how powerful this result is. Let's say we want the other possible case, all pay auction. Your expected utility is going to be utility of I Your utility is a little bit different, okay, in the all-pay auction. I'm not going to solve for this now. You can solve at home if you want. But your utility is going to be a little bit different than it was. You have to differentiate again and do the same steps as we've done before. But in the end, expected revenue, 9. the same example as I had before. Penny auction. Now you have to pay for the biddings that you do. You don't observe other people bidding, but you have to pay. Expected revenue, 9. All these possible configurations that you have out there, under this assumption, you're going to have the same expected revenue. This far from settles the case, there's no research done in auctions. Maybe you say, it's great, don't have to worry about the auctions in my life anymore. All the auctions yield exactly the same expected revenue, fine. That's not the case, because we have some assumptions here in this model. We have assumptions. First assumption that we have is that people know the distribution of goods, of values. This is not exactly true. Also, we also assume that people have this kind of utility that is linear in payments. It's not exactly true either. There is a lot of money into designing auctions for a company. Last year, a friend of mine dropped the PhD program in the middle because he got a job in Google. Yes, please.
So the formula for this one differs from like the other formula that you gave for like the second price auction.
Yes, the optimal bidding strategy is going to be different.
And then like the expected revenue is still 9?
Yes. The bidding function changes. How you should pay, if you had to pay for every possible bid, changes. The expected revenue doesn't. It doesn't have penny auction, doesn't any kind of auction. So in the middle of the program, there's a guy who dropped the program because he went to work for Google. The chief economist of Google is Hal Varian. He was a tenured professor in economics in Berkeley, and then he went to work for Google, and he did microtheory. Two of my peers graduated from the PhD in economics here, this year, and they're going to work, I think they started already, in Amazon. There's a lot of job for economists designing auctions there, trying to see what we get if you get rid of some of these assumptions. Moreover, there are many people trying to fool you guys around with auction. Penny auction is basically a scam. It's as a scam as it is a roulette if you go to a casino. It makes money from people who fail to understand that if you pay more for a bid, you're going to end up, there's a very small probability you're going to win the good. So many people lose money there in order for one to win. So it's not a scam, but it's pretty much like playing a casino. And people think they can make money in penny auction because they don't understand how complicated it is to solve this whole problem in a penny auction. But it should yield the same thing. It's a very interesting result, still far from solved, from completely done. It's an active field of research in economics. Hopefully, if you take other classes, you're going to see this again. And there's a big chance you're going to see something of this in your work, and a big chance that I'm pretty sure you guys have seen auctions in your everyday life. Do you have any question about this?
What do you mean by this allocation?
All auctions that give the good to the person who values the most have the same expected utility. All actions that give it to who needs it the most have the same expected utility among themselves, not among each other. Okay? An allocation rule is a final link between valuations and allocations. Okay? Just think about all efficient auctions. All auctions end up giving the good for the person who values the most, which are all the auctions that we covered here have the same expected revenue. Okay? Another question? Yes? How what? I'm not sure I understand. Are you saying how this here would happen in practice? Well, let's say we could somehow, it's just a theoretical possibility. Let's say we don't worry about it very much, but it will only be like you have a way to discover who actually needs it the most, or who has the lesser of that good in general. We figured out, oh, you don't have that much water. I'm auctioning water here, and I'm going to give water to you, and not to the person who's willing to pay the most for water. We'll do something like this. Okay? Any other question? The official part of the course, the material of the course, ends here. There was something that we didn't cover. We didn't have much time. I'm sorry for that. I promise you guys that we covered it and we did not. But I don't think it's really nice if I did something new on Monday. We didn't cover asymmetric information. This is actually a lot of asymmetric information. But we didn't cover moral hazard or signaling games. Moral hazard happens when you cannot really verify the action that a person is doing. For example, if you own Subway and you're going to have many branches of Subway, and in the end you don't know how much effort the manager of that specific branch is doing, so you have to design a contract for him to make a lot of effort and to produce more, so you can make more money and he can make more money. One possible effort is to give him remuneration as a profit for the manager. That's a case of moral hazard. Other possible case of asymmetric information is signaling. Sometimes you want to distinguish yourself from other people. You are very smart guys, and you go to work, and you're a couple of years in your career, and you realize you're way smarter than everyone around you. It happens quite a lot. And you're frustrated because you want to boost your career, and you don't have how, because when you get there, you guys have good grades, but stupid people got good grades too, and you cannot distinguish yourself from them. It's not your case, and you're all smart. But and sometimes bad people, smart people get bad grades. So you show up there with a high GPA, and the guy doesn't know how to distinguish you from other people. And sometimes even in interview, the guy is pretty good. The guy is good in interview, but you know that in every day it's impossible to work with him. And you'd like to improve your career, so you'd like to signalize that you're actually a good employee. And what you can do, you go there and you do an MBA. Because only smart people can do really well in an MBA. Although maybe it's a case that MBA doesn't help anyone, doesn't teach anything new, but it just shows you that you're actually good and you can improve. Actually, I don't think, I think people learn stuff in MBA. I've been a grader in MBA for 2 years, so I do think people learn valuable stuff in MBA. But it's just a model to signalize. And that's a case of asymmetric information. I didn't cover this in this class. Fortunately, if you'd like to see these, you have other classes here in UCLA that cover that. Notoriously, Introduction to Game Theory, the Moritz Weil teaches it, 106G, I think, Introduction to Game Theory. You're probably going to see something like that. And if you're interested in that, you should take the class. Moreover, if you're not from UCLA, I know many people here are not from UCLA, right? Who's not from UCLA? Okay, that's important. Do you guys know who John Wooden was? Everyone knows here, because John Wooden is the guy who gives the name for the gym. And he was here in UCLA, and he was the coach of UCLA team basketball for more than a decade, and he won 10 national college basketball teams. And before coming here to UCLA, I did a little bit of research, and you can find it online. And I would like to say something, because I know that the next week, you guys will be already in exam mood, and you'll be just annoying asking to review things about exam, how to get a better grade. And today officially the course ends here. So John Wood, in an interview, they asked John Wooden why did he like to teach so much? And then he said, I like to teach because I don't know what else I could find such a splendid company. So I'd like to thank you guys for giving me company in this summer here, in this cold and unsupposed summer here in LA. I'll see you guys next week. I have to pass evaluation now.